One of the biggest things that's talked about in the Scream universe, aside from the question of whether or not Sam will become a Ghostface killer, is Stu Macher alive? Now, just to give you a quick review so who is Stu Macher? Stu Macher is one of the killers, the co-killer, so to say, in Scream 1, played by Matthew Lillard. We know who the main killer was, who started it all. It was Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich. And, of course, as every killer in this franchise, they end up dead. Billy Loomis was shot, and Stu Macher had a TV fall on his face, on his head while he was on the floor, apparently electrocuting him and killing him. Now, fast forward about 26 years later, 26, 27, whatever. We're talking from 1996 to 2023. Okay, that'd be 27 years. I'm sorry, I can't think right now. Scream 6 comes out, and spoiler alert, just in case, to those of you who haven't seen it, I know all the hardcore Scream fans already saw it. I'm just throwing this out here. If you don't want me to spoil it for you, I suggest you stop watching this video. At least I'm giving you that warning. Now, in Scream 6, we see that one of the Ghostface killers was stabbed in the throat, through the mouth, and apparently died there. But, you know, one of the major rules of Scream is they always come back. And so that killer came back and attempted one final kill. And Kirby threw a TV on that person's head, which crushed them, apparently killing them. And her line after that was, "I saw that in a scary movie once." An obvious nod to Stu Macher's death in Scream 1. Now here's the thing. A lot of people have been asking, well, is he alive? Is Stu alive? A number of articles talk about that theory and that speculation, and they kind of go into that. This one right here, according to Screen Rant, how one Scream 6 kill may debunk a popular fan theory. The creative team behind Scream 6 revealed that a particular kill at the end of the film could debunk a popular theory regarding Stu Macher. Scream 6 directors, writers, and producers discuss a specific kill at the end of the movie and how it may debunk a popular Stu Macher theory. After achieving success with last year's requel, directors Matt Bettinelli and Tyler Gillette return for Scream 6, which sees Sam, Tara, Mindy, and Chad facing off a dangerous new Ghostface in New York City. Actually, in this movie, there were 3 Ghostfaces. Believe it or not, there were 3. Hell, I would even really say 4, but that one of them was kind of unofficial because he revealed himself in the beginning, and that's a whole new story. There's 3 Ghostface killers in this movie. There's 3 of them. In addition to introducing several new characters, 3 of whom end up being Ghostface, the latest sequel also sees the return of Kirby Reed and Gail Weathers, played by Hayden Panettiere and Courtney Cox, respectively. In a recent spoiler-filled interview with Variety, the Scream 6 creative team discusses how Ethan's death at the hands of a TV is a direct reference to Stu's death in the original movie from 1996. The TV to the head very definitively kills Ethan, and Gillette explains that the moment is meant as a final nail into the coffin of the theory that Stu is somehow still alive in the world of the franchise. Check out comments from Gillette, co-writer James Vanderbilt, and producers William Sherrick and Paul Neinstein. Neinstein? We'll go with Neinstein or Neinstein for now. There's always at least one name in here that I can't pronounce or that I'm not familiar with. That always happens. That's just going to be a thing of this show. Let's talk about the TV and Stu. There was a line about the conspiracy that Stu is alive. Was Kirby pushing the TV onto Ethan and killing him to prove to fans that killed Stu? Gillette said, yes, that is scripted specifically as a brutal and definitive kill. Guy and Jamie wrote the TV falling on Ethan's head as a brutal and definitive kill. Vanderbilt said, I just loved that moment. Once we got the idea of her saying, I saw that in a scary movie once, we had to do it. It's the one last pop-up. It was more about that than saying anything about all of the Stu truthers out there. Could Matthew Lillard pop up in a future movie? Vanderbilt said, there's no good answer, so I will never confirm or deny stuff like that. Sherrick said, anything's possible. Neinstein said, characters can come in and out. There's different ways to do it. It's such a part of all their lives. They have an affinity for Scream. A sub-article in here says, could Stu Macher still return after Scream 6? While Gillette seems to definitively say that Ethan's TV death is proof that Stu is dead, Vanderbilt, who actually wrote the scene with co-writer Guy Busick, seems less convinced. Whether Stu is actually dead or not, however, doesn't really affect his ability to return to the franchise after Scream 6. Although last year's Scream 5, introduced a host of new characters that largely take the place of legacy characters like Sidney, Gale, and Dewey, in the franchise still remains very much tied to the past. Or maybe that was talking about the sixth one. Okay. One of the biggest ways this connection to the past manifests itself is through Sam and her father. Scream 5 reveals Sam to be the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, who was the Ghostface in the original movie, alongside Stu. Billy returns as a figment of Sam's imagination in Scream 5 and 6, and it's certainly possible that Stu could return in a similar fashion. The only problem with this theory, of course, is that Stu didn't have any children, meaning it's not clear who would be having visions of him or why. It's certainly possible, however, that Scream 7 will introduce one of Stu's relatives or siblings, thus creating an opportunity for the character to live on in some way. While the comments from the Scream 6 creative team would suggest that Stu may in fact be dead, that definitely doesn't mean that he can't ever return down the line. This one right here says, Scream 6 all but confirms your biggest Stu Macher theory. Poke fun at the popular. Okay, so that just goes on the TV thing again. So, okay, so now that I've read that, that appears to be a little bit more clear in terms of how's he gonna. So we know for sure that Billy Loomis is dead. Billy Loomis is dead, and how do we know that? Because every time a character gets, especially a villain or a Ghostface killer, gets stabbed or shot in the chest, stomach, anywhere else, they appear to be dead, and then, as they always say, they'll always come back, or they always come back. Guess what? They come back for one last scare, and what's the rule? Shoot them in the head. You shoot them in the head, they end up dead. Shoot them in the head, they go dead. Head dead. You get it. So they shot Billy in the head, and now he's dead. Okay, I'll stop. And what they did with, just like how one of the Ghostface in Scream 6 got shot in the head, ended up killed from that. Now, one thing, because to me, it made it sound like he was going to be back as a human, as he was in Scream 1. But if they're saying that there's a chance that he could be someone's, a figment of somebody's imagination, now I think that theory is much more plausible. I think that makes a lot more sense. The question is who? The question is who? Now, there was a character named Vince in Scream 5 who ended up being killed, and it turns out that his mother is named Leslie Macher, who is Stu Macher's sister. Is it possible that this Leslie Macher person, and by the way, that person was only mentioned, never seen, could Leslie be in Scream 7 and that story could tie into him? I don't know. But that raises a whole new question. And at first, I didn't think it was possible that they were going to bring Stu back. I just thought, like, okay, he's dead. It's ridiculous. He can't come back. But now that I've read that article, it's given me a little bit of a different perspective. So now I get that. It is a legitimate question. The question is, could he be back, but in a different form? Not in human form, but in ghostly form, so to say, just like Billy did for Scream 5 and 6. But the question of is he alive or is he dead, I still vote dead. I still vote he's dead. Now, anybody else, you're free to feel differently about it, and you're feel to speculate and have your own theory and opinion and ideas. Now, this according to Game Rant, GameSpot, MovieWeb. Okay, now here is something interesting. According to Pop Buzz, this article is from January of 2022, the same month and year that Scream 5 was released. Now, this right here says Matthew Lillard confirms that Stu is still alive and was originally the killer in Scream 3. One of the most popular Scream theories is that Stu survived the first movie. Matthew Lillard has addressed theories that Stu is still alive in the Scream universe and was originally the killer in Scream 3. Ever since the first Scream movie came out in 1996, fans have long believed that Stu survived. Even though Sidney drops a TV on Stu's head, we never actually see him die. There have also been multiple rumors that Matthew Lillard was meant to return as Stu Macher in Scream 3, and that the original script was scrapped after the 1999 Columbine High School massacre. Now, Matthew has confirmed that Stu did survive and revealed what the original plans were for his return in Scream 3. Did Stu die in Scream? When asked if Stu was still alive in a new Vulture interview, Matthew said, "I'm the grandfather of Stu Truthers." He then let slip that the Scream 3 rumors are true. He said, "I was supposed to do Scream 3. I got paid for 3. Not really well, but I ended up getting paid for something I didn't do because the idea was that I'd be running high school killers from jail." On the Bob Benedict podcast, Matthew also said, "From jail, I was kind of masterminding this attack against Sidney, and so 3 weeks before we were supposed to start shooting, Columbine High School broke out, and they changed everything. They kind of took the script and threw it to the side. They bought me out, and I never did the third one." Scream 3 cast and crew members have also previously revealed that the film was originally set at Woodsboro High School and was moved to a film set in LA to avoid any similarities with the Columbine High School shooting. In other words, Stu is alive in the Scream universe. He just never returned as Ghostface. As to whether or not he would come back as Stu in Scream 6, which he didn't, Matthew said, "Look, it's a horror movie. Crazy things happen all the time. Have you seen Friday the 13th? Jason comes back. Like Stu could still come back." He continued, "He doesn't bleed out. Somebody would have come along and cauterized the wound. There's still hope for Stu." Eagle-eyed fans have also spotted a Stu Easter egg in Scream 5 that alludes to him still being alive. When Richie is watching stab videos on YouTube, you can see a suggested video with the title, "Did the real Stu Macher survive?" What do you think? Would you like to see Stu in another Scream movie? Well, I guess that changes my perspective a little bit. I would say, overall, I think I still vote that he's dead. Here's the other theory, because they mentioned the jail thing. I say that he could be in jail, and Scream 7 could possibly reveal how he's tied to the people who were the killers in Screams 2 to 6, maybe possibly. And if he is still alive in human form, they better have a really good backstory to that. They really better have a good story to that. All I say is to the writers, producers, and directors of this movie, I know you won't mess it up, but I'm just saying this just in case. Don't mess it up. Again, I don't think Stu Macher, if Stu Macher returns, it'll be in a figment of imagination. So it's either he's dead, or if he is alive, he's operating a criminal operation from prison. Kind of similar to how the main antagonist from the Endgame did that. Elena Fedorova. A little bit different. If he's dead, he'll come back and, again, figment of imagination. So I'll leave that up for you to decide. Do you think Stu Macher's dead? I still vote yes overall. Give your own comments and thoughts below. Let me know what you think.